the Neues Museum in Berlin. This building contains some of the works that defined one of the most enigmatic, fascinating civilizations in the history of humanity, ancient Egypt. The museum's Egyptian collection takes us on a journey through 4,000 years of history, immortalized in engravings and texts, entire burial chambers and statues that paid tribute to the pharaohs and the gods. More than 3,000 items on display, which enable us to trace a chronology of life in ancient Egypt. Among these items, there's one that shines brighter than the rest. It is the bust of Nefertiti.
To have the Nefertiti's bust on the museum island and, of course, in the Neues Museum is a big fortune for us. It's something exceptional to have something of these World Heritage pieces, among others, here in the Neues Museum. But have a look, it is something like the Louvre has the Mona Lisa, or others in Dresden, they have the Sixtina, the Madonna. So I think many museums all over the world, they have a special key piece where they are especially devoted, and of course we are happy to take care for the bust of Nefertiti.
This is a figure shrouded in enigma. Who was Nefertiti? How long did she live? Archaeologists and historians are still researching her in an attempt to give a definitive answer to these questions.
She was the royal spouse of King Akhenaten, formerly called Amenhotep IV. And as queen of the royal spouse was, of course, always important in the history of ancient Egypt. But Nefertiti has really a special role, because in the new theology of the Amarna period, Akhenaten and Nefertiti were the royal couple directly under the blessing of the sun god Aten. But Nefertiti had the role of the female part within this religion, and therefore she was very, very important for the whole theological impact of the Amarna period.
This is not the only surviving image of the great royal wife, whose name means the beauty has arrived. Other representations have come to light in the form of engravings and sculptures. But the most perfect image of Nefertiti remained hidden for over 3,000 years. In December 1912, archaeologists opened a chamber and discovered the bust, which now brings thousands of admirers to Berlin to witness it.
And it makes the person so vivid. You have really the feeling to be in her presence. And I think this is something which is overwhelming for visitors, to have these wonderful colors still preserved.
Discovered together with 80 other pieces, the symmetrical perfection of the figure's features, sculpted from sandstone, coated in plaster and with subtle coloring, meant that from the very moment it was discovered, this piece was totally unique, an icon of beauty and perfection. Skel, in collaboration with the Egyptian Museum of Berlin, presents a bronze reproduction of the bust of Nefertiti, a limited edition of 4 series of 998 individual figures, all made by hand, one by one, using the lost wax casting technique. Each statue is produced by a manual process that begins with a specialist who sculpts the figure, modeling it on the original bust. Using this master model, a 2-part silicone mold is made. The inside of the mold is completely covered in wax. The 2 halves are joined, and more melted wax is applied to the resulting mold. After the wax is cooled, the silicone mold is removed. The figure is now finished by hand, tidying up all the little details. Each of the resulting pieces is dipped in ceramic clay and covered in refractory dust, resistant to high temperatures. Meanwhile, the bronze that will form the body of the statue is melted. When it reaches a temperature of 1,200 degrees, it is poured into the mold. As it enters the mold, the bronze melts the wax and takes its place. The mold is left for several hours until it has completely cooled. Now the refractory material is broken and the complete figure is removed. The bronze piece is polished by hand until it has all the desired details. It's then given a patina, applied with heat for its final finish. The name of each series and the number of the limited edition of each piece are engraved by hand on the back of the figure. Finally, the bust of Nefertiti is mounted onto a travertine marble base. The end result is a unique, unrepeatable work of art. To certify its exclusiveness, each piece comes with a numbered notarial certificate. The Nefertiti statue is also accompanied by an exclusive art book. This hand-bound, large-format edition explores the history of Nefertiti and the Egypt of the pharaohs. It has been written by the experts Friederike Seyfried, director of the Egyptian Museum in Berlin, Fernando Estrada, architect and professor of art and Egyptian civilization, Josep Padró, professor at the University of Barcelona and director of the archaeological mission in Ochirinco, Núria Castellano, Doctor of History and Egyptology, and Maite Mascort, Doctor of Archaeology and Vice President of the Catalan Egyptology Society. The book is illustrated with high-quality images of Egyptian art that help the reader to appreciate all the details in the masterpieces from this great civilization. There is an image of the bust of Nefertiti on both the front and back covers of the book. The statue and the book are presented together in an elegant case featuring the image of Nefertiti. Created especially for the occasion, the case serves to protect and safeguard this exclusive work. Skel presents this unique reproduction of one of the most famous works in art history. A bust that combines beauty and serenity, power and fragility. One of the great pieces of Egyptian archaeology, revived as a one-of-a-kind edition.